Australia's tax system. Time for a change? Australia has a tax system. This system pays for important things like schools and hospitals. But our tax system has some problems. Some big companies don't pay their fair share of tax. Also, we don't always get enough money from our natural resources. This means less money for important things that Australians need. Right now, companies pay tax on their profits in Australia. However, some big companies find ways to make their profits look smaller in Australia. They move their profits to other countries with lower taxes. This is called tax avoidance. It means Australians miss out on billions of dollars. This money could be used for better hospitals, schools, and roads. We also have natural resources like iron ore and gas. These resources belong to all Australians. However, we don't always get a fair share of the money made from selling these resources. This is because companies can reduce the amount of tax they pay on resource profits. Big companies and tax avoidance. Many big companies use clever tricks to avoid paying tax in Australia. These tricks make it look like they are making less profit here. One trick is to have different parts of their company in different countries. This way, they can move profits to countries with lower taxes. Australia has tried to stop this. We have made new laws and worked with other countries. However, there are still loopholes in the system. These loopholes are like gaps in the law that companies can use to avoid paying tax. We need to close these loopholes and make the rules stronger. This will ensure big companies pay their fair share of tax in Australia. Getting a fair share from our resources. Australia has many valuable natural resources. When companies dig up and sell these resources, they make big profits. But sometimes Australians don't get a fair share of these profits. One way to get a fairer share is to charge companies a higher royalty. A royalty is like rent that companies pay to use our resources. Another way is to have a special tax on the profits made from resources. This is called a resource rent tax. Some people argue that higher taxes will stop companies from investing in Australia. However, we need to find the right balance. We need to ensure that companies make a fair contribution to Australia's future. A better future for all Australians. If we can make big companies and resource companies pay their fair share of tax, it will mean more money for all Australians. This money can be used to improve our hospitals and schools, build better roads and public transport, provide more support for people in need, and invest in renewable energy and other technologies for the future. A fairer tax system will help create a stronger and more prosperous future for all Australians. The path to a fairer tax system. Changing the tax system can be difficult. Big companies have lots of money and influence. They will try to stop any changes that mean they have to pay more tax. But we can't let them win. We need to make sure that everyone understands the importance of a fair tax system. We need to elect governments that are willing to stand up to big companies and fight for the interests of everyday Australians. The future of Australia depends on it.